Hello, everyone. I am Lupita Eyde-Tucker, and I am your Florida homeschool advisor and evaluator. The goal of this video is to help you organize yourself and your student so that you can help them complete their college applications in a timely and focused way. This video is for rising seniors, specifically class of 2025, but if you have a student who is a rising junior, watching this video can help you prepare for your students' college application season and put some key items on your radar for next year. August is an important month for seniors. They're beginning their last year of high school, and it's important that they put in the effort to do their best to finish strong academically speaking. They're taking the SAT, the ACT, the CLT exams. They might be completing their volunteer work or work hours for Bright Futures. They are also working on their college applications, and depending on how many schools they're applying to, that can end up being a huge task to complete, right? And for students who are athletes or artists, that means that they're also entering in their final year of high school athletics, or they might be preparing a portfolio of their artistic talents. So it's a busy time, and we as parents can do a lot to support our students. So that brings me to one of the most important lessons on the path to graduation that I've learned from my own experience of graduating 4 of my children so far. I've been homeschooling for 20 years, and I have 5 children, and I've graduated 4 of them, and that has taught me a lot of things about the timeline and when to get things done, and how to employ best practices so that you can manage everything that you need to do and not get stressed out. That's kind of the purpose of this video, is to help you know what to really focus on and pay attention to so that you don't get stressed out. So here is the foundational thing that I want to share with you just to get started. The more tasks that you can complete earlier, the better things will go later. So why is that? Well, first of all, completing things on your list, items, tasks on your list will help free up that mental space that you'll need to tackle other things that come along later on in this timeline. So everything in the college application process has its own timeline, and clearing things off your mental plate will give you the mental energy to tackle the other items as they become more pressing. So this will help you avoid stress and anxiety in both you and your student. Second, starting earlier produces better quality work. For example, if you start the transcript earlier, that gives you a chance to get feedback and make revisions before you have to send it off. Another example would be starting the college application essay earlier. If you do that, if your student does that, it gives your student time to make multiple revisions so that they feel confident that the essay that they send is representing them well. And these things take time. So by starting earlier, you're giving yourself the luxury of that time. And lastly, errors and mistakes happen, right? So especially when you're in a time crunch or you've painted yourself into a corner by procrastinating. I'm definitely someone who has done that before. So I'm learning from my mistakes, and I'm wanting to share that with y'all because I know what it feels like to be really stressed out because the deadline is coming soon and you just don't seem to have enough time to really dedicate the energy and the time and the care and attention that it takes to do something well, and then a mistake happens, right? Mistakes can be avoided by starting earlier, but also even, if you make a mistake by starting earlier, sometimes we still make mistakes, right? You can have time to make corrections, and that sometimes is like gold. Okay, so starting earlier is really the way to go. So here are the first 5 tasks that you need to work on in August. Now, a lot of you may have already started these, and if you have, I applaud you, and you are way on track to get stuff done, right? But some of us have not started yet. So this really is a video for those who have not begun yet, because I want to implore you to begin now, if you can. The goal is to make sure that you complete these 5 items by October 1st. Why October 1st? Well, that is just a date that I came up with. That's not a required date or deadline from any governing body. But I've discovered, not just in my own process with my own children, but in helping hundreds of parents go through this process themselves, that completing these 5 tasks before October 1st really puts you in a good position to not only meet the deadlines for the earlier applications for Florida universities, but also it just really helps you focus on the next stages and do those well as well. So, um, that just gives you some breathing room, right? So, for example, the earliest deadlines for Florida public universities are in mid-October and early November. So this will help your student balance their workload, because during the fall semester, in addition to doing their college applications, they might need to focus on taking the SATs or the ACTs or the CLT tests. They need to get those scores done by like October, end of October, mid-November, depending on the schools. And not to mention, they have to do well academically in their classes and their coursework, prepare for midterms and final exams, etc. So that's why starting earlier is better, especially with these 5 tasks. So the first task to complete in August is to complete the college application, including the Common App. So if your student is applying to only one university, then it makes sense to just complete the application on that school's website. But if your student is applying to more than one university and multiple schools will accept the Common App, then it makes sense to create a Common App account and use the Common App to submit the student applications. The Common App is a portal that allows students to apply once, to fill out an application one time, and then send it off to various different universities within the same portal. So it helps streamline the process a little bit. So if that is what your student is doing, then all of the universities in Florida accept the Common App. So that's something that you might want to look into. Additionally, I just want to mention that on August 25th, I will be hosting a Common App bootcamp. And if that's something that you would like to attend in order to kind of get this done and get this ball rolling and done, I will be posting the sign up information in the comments of this video. The next thing is to bring your students' official high school transcript up to date. So the transcript needs to have all of their high school coursework, grades, and credits through the end of 11th grade. That needs to include a cumulative GPA and a weighted GPA. You're going to also list all in-progress courses for the fall semester of their senior year, as well as all of their forthcoming courses for spring of senior year, if you already know what those might be. Now, you want that transcript ready to go as early as possible, because you're also going to be using that as your document for several other tasks in the application process. So for example, you will need the transcript to, your student will need information from your transcript to complete the Common App, for example, right? Your student will also need the information from your transcript to complete the Student Self-Reported Academic Record, or the SSAR form, which many students are required to complete in addition to the application. And if they're applying to UCF, for example, they will need it to complete their SPARK form, which is another version of this self-reported academic record. You will also need to upload a signed and dated copy of your official transcript to the application portal, be it the Common App or the individual school websites, application portals for your student, right? Because you are the school counselor of your student's school. So you will need to create a school counselor account on the Common App, for example, and upload that documentation as well. So You'll notice that there are a lot of redundancies in this process, right? And that is kind of tedious, but it's normal to have to repeat these steps multiple times. But one of the things that is really important is that all of these different things that you have to complete have to match, right? So that's why using the transcript as like the source of all of the actual accurate information is the best way to go. So having that up to date is kind of important. So next on our list of important tasks to complete in August is the college application essay. So a lot of these things I'm hoping that y'all have already gotten started. The college application essay is one of those things that really does take time to do well. And it is so important, as it's a super important part of your student's college application package. So essentially, in a sea of students that are all applying to the same schools that your student is applying to, um, and that have similar GPAs, similar test scores, and similar rigor, it's hard to differentiate students. So the college application essay is really your students' chance to set themselves apart from the rest of the pack, right? So the time to write the essay is now, not in October, definitely not in November. And the reason why is because you want to give yourself time to write and then revise again and make sure that what the student is submitting is a great, accurate depiction of who they are as an applicant and as a student and as a person. I offer college application essay feedback sessions. So if that's something that you think your student would need or would like, then please reach out. I will be putting the link to that at the end of this video, but also in the comments of this video, you'll see a link to that as well. Okay, so the next thing that you can get done in August is to create an application tracker spreadsheet for yourself. So that is a great way to get organized. And I cannot stress to you how important it is to be organized in this process, just for your own peace of mind, to just know, what are we doing? What do we need to do? How are we getting it done? Did it get done? Right? So spreadsheets can be really handy for that. And it helps if the spreadsheet that you make is a shareable document that both you and your student have access to and can update as you complete your individual tasks. So again, this is a great way to keep track of deadlines and of different application requirements, because different schools might have different requirements, right? I created a spreadsheet and I'm sharing it in the comments for y'all. It is a Google Doc, and when you open it up, it's going to ask you to make a copy of it. So you make a copy for yourself. It'll be in your Google folder. And you can use that and as a base. You can add, remove things if you want to. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can see what that looks like. Okay, so this is the spreadsheet that I created that I'm sharing with y'all, so you can use it as a resource for yourself. As you can see, it has multiple different tabs. So I have the first page is all Florida schools, and I actually went ahead and linked each one of these schools to their application, to the page on their website, which has all the information on how to apply. And then I also pre-populated this with all of the deadlines for all of the 12 public universities. So you don't have to do that work. I did that for you. And then it's got, if your student is planning on applying to any of the Florida public universities, there's a space down below where you can add those in. I already also pre-populated that with a few of them. And you can go ahead and delete anything on here that doesn't work for you or that you don't need, and just, make it exactly what you want it to be. But I've included sections on deadlines, what are some of the required materials that they might ask for? And then, what's the status of those materials? Have they been submitted or not? And then anything related to fees that you may have had to pay if you want to keep track of how much things cost, right? And then down below, you'll see these tabs. I have a tab for non-Florida schools as well. Out-of-state schools, I have a tab that allows you to keep track of the username and passwords for the different application portals. Once your student applies, then they have to, set up a username and a password with each individual school. So this will help you keep track of that. And then also I have on here a chart to help you keep track of your recommenders, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. And then a few other tabs for scholarship tracking, financial aid, and then Bright Futures. Last but not least, if your student needs letters of recommendation for the different college applications, then the time to ask for those and secure commitments from recommenders is now. First of all, recommendation letters from professors, teachers, and instructors carry the most weight. So you definitely want to try to get those types of recommendation letters if you can. And ideally, if that professor or instructor is in the field of interest of the student, like if they want to major in a STEM field and one of their science professors writes a letter, that will go a long way, right? So you can kind of like pick and choose that way, but it's not necessarily a requirement. I'm just saying that might be a good strategy. Additionally, other college personnel, like for example, advisors or other people at the college that they might already be doing, might already have connections with, could potentially write a letter of recommendation. If the student is dual enrolled, obviously. And also employers and supervisors and coaches and people like that can also write recommendation letters. They don't carry as much weight as a college professor or a high school teacher, but it's definitely something that you can use. So think about who you might want to write letters for your student, and then be sure to reach out early, like now, to secure commitments from them, and then follow up consistently in writing, via email to remind them and ask them to please send it, because that can also be very stressful trying to chase this down. If you look in the spreadsheet that I'm giving to y'all in the recommenders section, I kind of set up some things that you can see are helpful ways to kind of keep track of that. So use that to help you manage your workflow on that. And then always make sure that your student in the application, before they send a request through the application to the recommender, that they are waiving their right to see the letter. Because when the student waives their right to see the letter, then that means the letter is going to be, it's going to carry more weight for sure. And it's going to show that the recommender was able to be perfectly honest and forthcoming, because they don't have the fear that the student might read the letter. All right, well, thank you for watching. I know I've given you a ton of information to get started. Please feel free to ask questions in the comments section of this video. And again, if there's anything you need help with of the different items that I discussed, just to recap, there's a Common App bootcamp that's going to happen later on this month that you can sign up for. If you need help with your students' transcript, please feel free to reach out. I can build their transcript, or I can review your transcript, whatever you prefer. If you think that your student might need help with their college application essays, please reach out. This is, one of my specialties. And last but not least, please take advantage of the spreadsheet. The link to that will be in the comments as well. And I hope that helps you kind of get organized and feel like you're ready to attack this process. Thanks for watching, y'all.